Hello, my dear friends, the viewers of my channel and the readers of my book ABC of Truth, Азбука истины, the book that exposes all the religions and sects and unites humanity, the book that makes you proud of the great past of Rus. I repeat, Christianity has been substituted, and the Slavdom had been invented by the priest, which is also a fake. Here is the book about the real Christianity, real Slavdom. It unites all these, all religions, all sects. This is what was real in Rus before the Inquisition came and divided people. Only physical science, physical phenomena, and no gods. Only what was real, only what you could see, what you could touch. Even a stool somehow has a creator. Reincarnation is a real physical fact. They washed our brains out and have put us at the same level with the notions of reincarnation or hell and heaven. We're in the Inquisition's knowledge matrix, and consequently, in order to get out of this matrix and think a different, refreshed brain, we need to get out of it and completely reload our systems. That's what the book ABC of Truth makes possible. It's been 8 months since I contacted you and alternative historians. There are a lot of questions now. Today I will try to answer all of them. First, let me present you the book ABC of Truth in a new edition. This is 2020 edition. The book was first published in 2016 in a small printing run, and in 2017 it had been already mass sold through. The book now can be found in Reader, Litmir, Ozone, and other retail chains. In 2018, I published a small paper-covered book. In 2019, the book significantly grew up, and it was also published in paperback. And at the end of 2020, I allowed myself to print a hardcover book. Of course, in order to make it cheaper, I had to print the book in a small print with the smallest margins, with the small text, and the book turned out to be relatively cheap. If I sold my first book at the price of 350 rubles, so the sales were only for those who wanted to help me with the book. Now, I will sell this book at the price of 500 rubles. As in the price, I also include the shipment, printing the book, purchasing an envelope like this. So this is a plastic postal envelope, and the actual cost of shipment together with the cost of the book, now it will be 500 rubles. Anyone who wishes may add to this amount and help me to further develop this book. I also want to inform my readers that I created channels and posted some videos on Instagram and Telegram. The book itself has an electronic version and now available on Yandex.Дзен. Any reader can go to Yandex.Дзен, subscribe to my channel and read my book. I'm asking for your help in spreading this information. No one but us can protect the honor of Rus. Everything is so slandered. There is so much lies that no one wants to back down from this information now. Everyone has fallen into religion. Those who are not in religion has fallen into paganism. They glorify all this. They make money on it. They erect Kremlins. They promote each other. This business goes wide all over the planet, and no one wants to voluntarily give up their profits. What I do is absolutely free. The electronic version is free, and the books have it cost price. So why am I doing all this? An ebook is dust. But if this information is lost, somewhere it will be found again with someone. So I insist that people not just get to know the information in the book, but you gotta store this information. If you need a file to print the book, for example, if you live somewhere far away, abroad, you may write to me and I will send you a special file that will help you to print the book. You can print this book in any printing house. Print it yourself if you want to print the book for yourself, for example. Because it can be cheaper for you, for example. If we take Amazon or Litres, for example, so the cost of this book is about 600 rubles, and the shipment costs even more than this amount. It turns out that you will have to pay about 1,500 rubles for the book along with the shipment. It's not in soft cover. This is an option. This is already a hard cover, and I sent everything for 500 rubles. So it's cheap and you can buy it. Many thanks to all the people who supported the reissue of my book. My thanks to Mikhail Temchin and Alexander Malyshev, the main patrons. Many thanks to each person who sent his 100 rubles to support my channel. This is very important. We are moving forward, and sooner or later, we will clear the minds of all the people on the planet. Sooner or later, we will clear the minds of all people on the planet. This book is capable of doing that. We will not need politicians who can only divide us with the help of journalists and by poisoning us to each other. We need real knowledge that will push these provocateurs aside, that will push them aside and make peace between our peoples. The truth is actually very interesting, and very insidiously it was replaced. Thank you very much for your attention and help. Starting from January the 30th, when the book arrives, I will send a new version of the book. But there is still about 50 copies of the old book left. So let's do it like this. I will send the book for free to anyone who wants to get it. Just leave an eye under the video and write a couple of comments. I will select 50 people and send the book for them for free. So, let's start answering the questions. Olga Victora, tell me please, what is the best way to make a funeral, burn or bury in the ground? I'm inclined to think it's better to burn it. Where to get the tombstone of Spacer? I answer, in fact, The question comes to me every day. There is a movie Sansara Spacer, a special cross. In Rus, the body of the deceased was burned, the ashes were buried out, just pouring it out on the ground. Then a stone slab of Spicer was placed on this place. As you know, flowers growing on the ground with the ashes have a completely different physical meaning. The act of taking the earth with you from the burial site makes sense. It's easy to move a burial site. The slab can be ordered from a light material in the same place where you order the obelisk. The images on the slabs are easy to find on the internet. The name Hone is in the center of the image. It is clear that Andrew is to rear in the middle of the ecliptic. Other names are as you consider them proper. So, classics is the inner circle clockwise Earth, outer circle against ecliptic of Ra. In the inscription, in addition of the dates of birth and death, the profession of the person, the inscription Ra Bi Bo Ji, eternity, repeating the essence of life. Initially, the plates were generally with no inscriptions. Denis Zaitsev, to whom and when was your book presented? I answer, since April 2016, the book has been printed or published on the websites of publishers Proza Meridian, Gramota, Lit Book, Lit True, Lit Mir, Lit Life, Self-Pub, Litera, and Bookscriptor. Fomenko, Nosovsky, Pizhikov, Kiesov, Zadornov, Via Zabelin, Sundakov, TV Company, Civilization, ATV, Tsargrad Media, Trite, Nikita Mikhalkov, Russia Today, Posner with a complaint that they rejected my naive appeal to the government and the president, and about 50 newspapers and magazines, to all the alternative historian YouTube users such as Chairman and Friedniker. If you are interested, I have screenshot posted in the group Apostles of Russia. The next question, is there any information in the book that is not presented in the movies? I answer, a lot. The movies don't even have half of it, Olga Rumina. So who are the real Jews? I answer again briefly. Native Europeans who were evicted by the Germans to the invented Israel after they themselves had moved to Europe from the north. The Germans moved to Europe from the north and evicted the native European Jews. This happened after the last serious apocalypse, 25 years ago. There are no pure-blooded Jews. It's a mixture of Germanic with those of the local Europeans who were evicted from the Rome region, and now they are Arabs. All this is the first mass genocide that continues until now, while everyone have already forgotten its roots. Oksana Vladimirova, question. Hello, Vyacheslav. How, based on the knowledge you cover, can you interpret the Bible as the knowledge of ancient Hypertorians repeatedly perverted by the world behind the scenes, or is it still a teaching about the enslavement of peoples? We will skip the word Hyperboreans, and I answer, I repeated, the perversion stayed behind the scenes. They perverted ancient knowledge by the world of separation and by the enslavement of peoples. This is what my entire book about. She said, how do you explain the biblical saying and the arc of the sky? What does it mean? I answer, arc of the sky is spelled with the A, R, the architect of air, the knowledge of the creator. Sky, you know, from Russian language, it's not a substance. The arc of the sky means not an essential creation. This is how another meaning of the word was revealed. To carry is not to pick up and carry, but to narrate in words, words that cannot be seen. The entire philosophy of the Rus language had been destroyed by the Lomonosov rules of the Russian language. Yuri Frolov, question: I wonder if they ever knew how to use electricity in Rus, since they knew the properties of copper and zinc. I answer: of course they could. Almost all modern physiotherapy rooms are the hospitals that were used in Rus. Electroprothesis, ultraviolet. I always forget to tell you about the alleged torture rooms in the basements of the castles and houses. But they were not torture rooms itself. These were the devices for treatment. For example, to fix the head firmly or some other part of body for ultraviolet radiation, or a sparkler, or performing an operation, warming it up by the infrared radiation, or a hot iron, stretching out the spine, so a lot of things. Of course, the Inquisition tried to destroy and pervert everything. Note, all Russian devices turned into gallows and instruments of torture. They are real perverts who pray to the bones and drink the blood and eat the flesh of their god at communions. And these perverts came up with the law on protecting the feelings of believers. What kind of Middle Ages do we live in? Why are unconstitutional laws issued in the state, which is a secular under the Constitution? And where is the law on insulting the feelings of intelligent and thinking people? Perverts have the last step left to throw out the secularism of the state from the Constitution and register their eligible god. Ludmila Trova, Vyacheslav, what do you know about the War of 1812? I answer: the Patriotic War of 1812 never happened. There was just an order from the Romans to Napoleon to burn down Moscow. You have to be a complete idiot to believe that we saved the army by leaving Moscow and by burning it down by ourselves. It was much easier to take out food and make the enemy starve to death, which is, by the way, happened. It was after Moscow was burned down that the People's Self-Defense Detachment were formed and partisan detachments were organized. The Romanovs hierarchically withdrew the army according to the preliminary agreement. No one repelled Praviloslavnaya Moscow, which reminded about the true pre-Christian Russia. It was people who defended Moscow. The army, having stood aside, realizing the betrayal, broke up and later sided with the people. It was the people who drove out by the French. Only at the end of this pseudo-war, in order to capture Europe and not to kill Napoleon, the Romanov generals managed to organize an army. The arrival of our people's militia in Paris, in addition to the army, has allegedly changed the France forever. What do you call this action when the government of your country orders the destruction of its counterfeit city for the subsequent justification of the existence of the imposed pseudo-faith? This is clearly not the patriotic war. They did not fight for the motherland, they fought with the inconvenient evidence. Write down the correct name for this action in the comments. And I don't know, the flood, which would fill all the buildings of the 19th century, which never existed. The flood drowns, not fills up buildings. There was no nuclear war either. The Earth is round. The last all-planet apocalypse that destroyed something was 3,325 years ago. The book describes in detail how the planet has been breaking down and where people survived. Just read on. I will answer to Tatiana Shevchenko about the burned cities all over the planet. The next senior building will be standing next to you unburned, but still you have all been buried. Where do they build houses without basements? Why people couldn't bury the ground floor on their own if the houses had been built on different levels before the road was leveled along the horizon. I repeat for those who do not understand why people couldn't bury to the ground floor of their own if their houses had been built on different levels before the road was leveled along the horizon. And do you know that in the basement's winter the temperature is above zero, and without forced heating there, in addition to the fact that you can survive there in extreme cases, you can keep cattle there and food. Each case is different. There is no general spontaneous destruction. A flood never bury anything. Well, at least you need a mud floor that carries the rook. The case with the Polytech building in Lubyanka Square is indicative. You can also see that the ground level to the left of the building is much higher than to the right. Just only if you knew the real Russian language, there would never have been such a question. Lubyanka, vast area, from the words deep. Popular print, this was the name of painting made by printing images into lime boards, which was splintered by penetrating by knives to the depth of a drawing. Hence the word love, Lyubov, to penetrate deep into the essence of the skeleton. Take a look at the photos by the Polytech yourselves, not at the ones on the internet that users give you for the sake of hype, but see the general slope of the soil that is formed from left to right. The area was already deepened, and in order to build a house on the slope, you need to make a recess in order to start. The building of the house, according to the horizon, needs such a slope. Previously, there was no requirement to plan the road levels. Now, the SNPs, the plans of the government, specify how many degrees of the roads can be before the construction. All this is done to ensure high-level speed mode. And living in a planned city is much more pleasant than climbing halls. Alexei Kurgansky. But what about the chronology which was written, for example, 1701, as they say, from the creation of the world in the Star Temple? What is supposed to mean? I answer, the Earth is 4.54 billion years old. The human DNA chain is 120 million years old. Man, as Homo sapiens, is 200,000 years old. What is the creation of the world in the Star Temple? If you're talking about the building of the last world with the human hands after the last apocalypse, it's 3,925 years ago. There are 2 summers in 1 year, women's summer and men's summer. Everything is clear. The equation of the 5th class is given in the movie Congratulations on the Year 2020. A whole movie was made about the star fortresses that had been built by Russia to survive during the apocalypse. Munchin Berfli. Hello, may I ask you a question? The Confederate flag of the United States suggests, is this the last hotbed of resistance? Maybe this is right, I answer. I am very glad that you make such right conclusions. Everything is absolutely correct. Confederation, this is the last fragment of that faceless Russia, Rus, left on that continent. See for yourself how many countries and states were the part of the Confederation. Not the states, but the countries from all over the world, as everyone got confused then. Why this confederation for the sake of the states? We're talking about Rus that built fortresses, stars around the world and saved humanity. Of course, even here it was necessary to lie to the Inquisition about the discovery of America. But what about all those fortress stars that are built all over America? The real America is a social confederation. The future of America predefined revival of правильной Rus. First, we will be reborn, then the whole world. It would be a shame to be separated by sect. Question from Urura. Vznich. Officially, there is only the word on your back or face up. I didn't find anything else. I answer. Navznich, spelled with F and T. Forget about the parts of the world and you will understand everything by yourself. Nav, well, you remember Spasaro? Well, there is a thread, F's need, thread. It means in the direction of death. Prostrate, thread. Thread, low. To penetrate, to pronanut, about the separation by the thread inside. Don't look at Lomonosov's words, revoked with the rules of the fake Russian language. A lot of things had been replaced by Lomonosov, and precisely so that we couldn't find our own roots. They taught even the poor people. Over time, people will give their assessment to these language freaks and Romanov's ass liquor. I have repeatedly said that Slavdom is an invention of priests-teachers of Romanov children, priests from the Kiev Mohyla Academy. Pizhikov Alexander Vladimirovich heard me, and others will hear me too. Yevgenia Geking. Vyacheslav, I have received your information. I'm crying like a girl. Such treachery is just unimaginable. I don't believe it, but for some reason this is scary. Can you tell me something about this? I answer. Yevgenia, what the Romanovs put in people's heads will sit in the minds for a long time until we throw everything out by ourselves. You need to act, not cry. Everyone can revive the true Rus. Print out my book just on A4 sheets, 10 copies, and give it to read to your friends, acquaintances, neighbors, so distribute the video daily. Only daily work will help us to revive the Rus. The videos can be found on my YouTube channel. Now they are also available on Instagram and Telegram. Join right now and help me on a daily basis, at least one video a day. Download all these videos, store and distribute them, and upload them on your channels. Denis Nikitin. Hello, Vyacheslav. I can't understand one thing. Why is Rus, such a smart and leading country, is unable to resist its own enslavement? And there is no end to it. I'm sorry for my own state. I try to explain it to a lot of people, but they look at me like I'm an oddball. Alexander Malyshev adds, Denis, I fully support your question. I'm also at a dead end and I'm looking for an answer. If we work together to answer it, we will do a great thing. We will open the eyes of millions of people to the truth of what's happening. And I think that at an uncertain moment, an indefinite group of people responsible for receiving, storing, developing of acquired knowledge had an irresistible pride and desire to hide this knowledge, replace it, destroy it, everything that reminds of it in order to get management, power, and a comfortable life at the expense of other people whose knowledge could be manipulated with. Just what was the reason for their decision? That's another question. I answer, yes, indeed, this is the main question. Why couldn't that smart and leading Russia, Rus, resist the enslavement of the Inquisition? The answer here seems to be complicated, but in fact it's very simple. We betrayed it. We betrayed because it's easier to be a narrow-minded sectarian than a smart person. Let me give you an example. You will understand everything very easily now. Let's look at the example of a school, or rather one class, a class where the motivation not to study turned out to be greater than the motivation to study. You can replace this class with any other group. Look here, initially they were first graders, raised by their parents, a teacher, and knowledge. As time passes, teachers are no longer respected. as a group of students who do not want to learn, unite, and you can say destroy the teacher. The teacher tries to give all this knowledge to the students, but students mock this knowledge and insult the teacher. Over time, all this knowledge in our heads turn into something unacceptable, and perverted knowledge becomes a religious dogma that you just need to believe in. Textbooks are burned down, and they print comics instead. The teacher is already a comic book in his hands. What made the students degrade in this class? Why are there classes where the motivation to learn by knowledge overcame by the motivation to mock the knowledge? Who was the child who rebelled against knowledge and encouraged the students to take his side? The answer is also very simple. This child was raised by his her parent. Endowed with the parental charisma, the students strangled timid classmates. The classmates got scared. Make parallels yourself to Romanov events after Nikon reform. Now I will use this example to tell you about myself in this situation. Imagine what will happen to a new student who is transferred to this degraded class from a normal one. The student came with the knowledge and a safe textbook. I think you understand why I have mentioned this ignorance. Thanks to the internet, I have a huge amount of support, and I have distributed my saved textbooks to everyone. You are standing behind my back. We are gaining more and more people who are awake, and soon we will have the right to demand the replacement of a broken teacher. Now I am not the only one keeper of the knowledge of authentic Rus. There are many of us now, and a spark ignites a flame. Around us, there are frightened students who have already lost their brains, who are so scared they are not able to think globally about honor. There are different types of students, from just indifferent ones who are only worried about their own fate, to active ones endowed with the knowledge of the Inquisition, who, because of their swagger, are not able to upload other information into their minds. Hence, the latter, because of their ignorance, aggravate the situation and ruin genuine knowledge. I mean here the historians and alternative historians. First, the historians got us into the ass, now the alternative writers appear. Floundering in this bacteria with their knowledge, they try to show us the right way. But you don't have to dwell in this shit. You gotta get out of it and clean up. Settle the new flora, gain health. This is why I asked alternative scientists in the early summer of 2019 to learn astrophysics in the part concerning the Rus true faith and use this knowledge in their research. I repeat, learn astrophysics in the part concerning the Rus true faith and use this knowledge in your own researches. Once again, learn astrophysics. Pass my words to all the alternative historians and scientists and ask them if they understand what needs to be done. You don't need to snatch some of the knowledge from the textbook of Rus and attach them into your Inquisition comics. You don't need to adapt the flexible facts of solidly stored knowledge to your matrix. You need to be able to get out of the Inquisition matrix and upload new systems into your mind without any viruses. A lot of questions come also from readers where they talk about using the knowledge of this book in a perverted way by various dishonest people for their own purposes. On the recommendation of these readers and viewers of the channel, so that there is no habit of perverting the knowledge from the book ABC of Truth, I'm on my way to create a group called Apostles of Russia, where we will track down all the perverts of this knowledge. Anyone who wants to join us can help us and help the group. Posts are spread only regarding the subject of perversions and substitution. The group posted my correspondence with Sundakov and Freethinker. You can read about it. You already know how Sundakov started to refuse his past words using the knowledge from the book ABC of Truth. Anyone who had read my book can easily notice that after May 22, 2016, from the moment I sent my book to Sundakov, Sundakov slowly, radically changed his mind, merging Slavs, changing the basis of all their stories. Let's start with the lesson 6. Russia is no longer a bright place. Not so long ago, he even claimed that his two philological educations prevented him from solving the mystery of the Russian language. He will soon be quoting my book by heart. This man has been lying a lot behind the leader of the Russian language school, bragging that in order to be able to explain the Russian language, he needed two philological educations, humiliating everyone else. But here you are. You can say that he openly said he was a liar. Read our correspondence. Look how I appealed to his conscience and what he answered me. He promised to help me, but I had to apologize to him. I endured an apology for the sake of the common cause, deceived. And now he is trying to link the knowledge of the book ABC of Truth to his conjectures, to link the truth to his lies, perverting the stored knowledge in my family. Vitaly Vladimirovich, everything that you created yourself in your life is a lie. I suggested that you should understand and save the honor of Rus together with me. But your vanity and your purse were above all these things. Your Slavic Kremlin and idolatrous Slavdom is a bluff invented at the Kiev Mohyla Academy. In the present Christianity and Slavdom, we were able to determine the coordinates with the help of the cross of the Apostle Andrew. This is just one example out of hundreds. Consequently, neither the idolatrous Slavs nor your parents' religious Christians have anything to do with the past of Rus. Another user of the book's knowledge is Misha Freethinker. Removes the chairman and the film and gives a complete plagiarism of the book about the baptism of the Romanovs, Russia. In the group posted, the book was sent to one another. I wrote about plagiarism with regard to the film and brought my channel to everyone's attention. He blocked me. In the second film, where destruction with the run-up of several thousand years, he tied Romanov. Anyway, he said, he took everything from the usual textbook and from Pizhikov Alexander Vladimirovich. He didn't understand Pizhikov's version of the Mormon religion, and he gave it out for what he told about in the last film. Well, that's right, the freethinker didn't know that we were arguing about the baptism of Russia. I said that Russia was baptized by the Romanovs. Pizhikov said that Christianity simply changed under the Romanovs, rejecting other multiple teachings, like Islam and Vedism. I was referring to the fact that the Romanovs baptized astrophysical, atheistic, irreligious Russia, Rus, into the Nikon reform. Here, Mikhail appears and tells everyone first about the plagiarism, about the baptism of Rus, and then Pizhikov Alexander Vladimirovich said, before Christianity there was Islam. He didn't understand what he had been talking about. He twisted everything and tied it to the destruction in a run of several thousand years. Complete nonsense. Misha lies, but people eat it. Of course, I wrote to him. He denied his words. Then he blamed Pizhikov Alexander Vladimirovich. Then he offered me to make a film about the truth of Russia for 20,000 rubles. What is wrong with the brains of these alternative hypers? I have great respect for Alexander Pizhikov. This is the only official historian so far who somehow heard me. We just didn't have time to talk. As for the chairman, I will also tell you why he removes your references regarding me under each of his films. By hundreds. This is the man who advertised Sundakovsky non-existent products, or the Slavs for the money cannot do otherwise. He has books. Well, let me resume. As long as the audience is uneducated, there will also be hypers who will earn money from them. And they really don't care about the honor and the knowledge of Rus. It is easier and more interesting for the uneducated public to watch a hype instead of reading a book, especially without understanding it. Socialism made of all Homo sapiens people who are inherent in dignity, duty, and honor. Capitalism makes only monkeys out of everyone who only respond to the hype of comics. Supply meets the demand. That's why Slavic schools of the Russian language appear. Think about it. We are told that previously we used to pray to the idols, but from the example about the cross of the Apostle Andrew, it is clear that Rus was highly educated and highly developed. Where are we going with these hype teachers? That's how you have to deal with disassembly, protecting the knowledge of Rus, so that charlatans do not tie them to their lies. I'm sure me and you will soon win in this battle. The victory will definitely be ours. Help me in any way you can. I'm not an alternative historian, and I'm not a teacher. I'm just a warrior, the one who is tailored in Russian, the one who has preserved the knowledge thanks to my family. But that's not my fault. This is a credit of my grandfathers. My merit will be that I will be able to convey this knowledge to you, to convey and protect them from perversion. So I'm asking for your help now. One finger can lift up the stone if the people are free to follow him. We are not the slaves of our masters, we are the great true Russia, Rus, with the strongest ideology of social equality and justice. The book ABC of Truth is the most powerful ideology of our rebirth. May all good come to your family. Today, I am addressing you officially, to every reasonable, real Russian person. Let us work together to restore Russia. Rus. Rus was baptized by the Romanovs in the bloody Nikon reform. I also address today officially to modern researchers of the Russian history, bloggers and channels, whose heart doesn't put up with the lies and seeks the truth. Historical freethinker, I ask you to study astrophysics as it relates to all the matters of faith. I ask you to continue to be guided by the acquired knowledge and use it for the further research. Warning, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but if you watch this video to the end, your life may not be the same. Hello, history lovers and my dear freethinkers. Are you ready to change your worldview? The time has come for monstrous, vivid, garish historical forgeries. My own modest version is that the baptism of Russia is the work of the so-called Romanovs, and we know and remember it in the history as the church schism or Nikon's reforms. Accordingly, the baptism of Russia took place no earlier than 1650s. Who is familiar with the video on channel about religious fraud and the course that Christianity in our land has become mono-religious only under the Romanov dynasty? Before that we had a different faith here. I will leave links to my videos. I will leave them for an interview with the real historian, doctor of historical sciences, Pizhikov Alexander Vladimirovich, where he, relying on the archives to which he had access, he will tell you the same thing. Turmoil, introversion, a new dynasty and a new religion are coming. And all this I took from the usual history textbook. Or do you need any more proof? Or why hide from the people the true story of the enslavement? So, dear skeptics, no one is hiding anything from you. You just don't know the story, so you're arguing. Learn the history. Everything is perfectly written there.
Does that sound lame? Well, then share your opinion in the comments. This is it for today. Thank you for your attention, help and support. By the way, for your help, now you can officially become a channel sponsor, watch videos without ads, take part in closed streams and use your chance to choose the content. Since the sponsors are paying, they can choose a story for the new videos or send me to the place